I would like today to bring your attention to the topic of views or ideas or beliefs. In Pali they call it Diṭṭhi. And very common here the idea about Sammaditthi, about right view, or Micchaditthi, wrong view. But I don't want to speak about it. I want to speak about Diṭṭhi in general, like general view, opinion or belief. Because when we have any kind of mental representation of reality, I believe that something should be like this. And usually mind have a tendency to forget that it's just mental representation. It's just how I skillfully form the idea about the word. It's helpful for some purpose, but it's not a word. It's not a reality. It's an idea. It's a mental representation. And when we forgot about this, when we start to believe that this is true, this is reality, this is right, everything else is wrong. So it's suffering. We start to fight with each other. If someone says something against our view, we feel unpleasant, we feel irritated, we want to correct this person. No, you're wrong, you're wrong. So again, nothing wrong to correct another person. But if it's come out of compassion and not out of desire to punish him or like he's wrong, no. So, and I would like to compare views or how we form our ideas and beliefs with the process of making map. You know, like everyone knows what is map, and map have a very similar characteristics with the process how we form our ideas and beliefs and views. So, first things, like, I think we discussed it last time, just remind, when you look at the map, like, of Malaysia, for example, yeah, and is it Malaysia when you look on the map? It is Malaysia, or it's just a map? So, it's obvious that it's just a map. It's a detailed map, good map, useful for some purpose, but it's just a map. It's not real. So, same way with view, like as I told, we tend to forget that things what we form about view, about idea, about word, about things, about how we should do, we tend to forget that it's just a map. We tend just to believe that this is it, that's it. So, interesting things about the map that when you, for example, open Google Map or something like this, like when you make it bigger, it's a very detailed map with all the houses, with all the like numbers of the houses, streets, and like all details. But when you make it smaller, all this detailed information just disappear. It's not there anymore. So to make a good map, we need to sometimes remove some information. We don't need all information. To make a map for some specific reason, like for example to just reach from one place to another, we don't need all these details information where like someone live, or like what's a shop here and there. We just need a roads, like roads across roads, and like maybe traffic map or something like this. But we don't need electrical cable information. We don't need plants information. So many information we don't need for that exact purpose. So in the same way, when a person like do this plant making in the city, he don't need like traffic jam information, yeah? So every map, it's made for specific purpose, and we remove information, then actually better. We keep only what is important. So, and same way with the view, for survival, to survive as a human beings, we tend to see the things what help us to survive. Like, for example, we see the snake, yeah, and we feel unpleasant. We try to avoid this because it's kind of inside DNA, it's survival mechanism. But the other things, what's around the snake, we may not see, like what's a beautiful grass around or what's a plant there. Exactly in that moment, snake is the most important object, and our mind just remove everything and like put the right attention on the snake. So it's important, but our mind immediately tend to forget that it's just a view. It's just a mechanism what help us to survive. It's not a reality. I don't see reality. I see just something what need to help to attain my purpose. Another thing about maps and about our mind, interesting things like if someone would ask you, what's the difference between Malaysian Chinese and Indonesian Chinese? I think immediately in your mind there would be a list of like a lot of things, like these different views or whatever, culture. But if someone would ask you, what's the similar things between Malaysian Chinese and Indonesian Chinese? Research shows that much more easy to find what's the different rather than what is similar. But actually what is similar is much more, yeah? Like all people need food to eat, yeah? All people sleep, all people, when they not sleep, they're tired. And we can make like thousands of things what is same between us. The same way, like if take, for example, the most tall African black person and compare it with the most small Asian person and put them together, and your mind immediately sees the difference. Like, it would be very difficult to remember that they're all human beings actually. They all have a blood or they all have organs. So it's a tendency of our mind to just to focus on what is different and don't pay attention what is similar. Again, for the purpose of survival or some other mechanism. But the problem here, we tend to forget that it's just a tendency of our mind. It's not like Malaysian Chinese or Indonesian Chinese, very different. It's just our mind have a tendency to make them separate, to make a different group. So interesting that from genetic point of view, actually, between every human being in the planet, we are similar in 99.9%. So it's like almost the same, but we don't see it, yeah? And interesting things that just show you how we don't see the similarity. Like, what do you think between chimpanzee and the human being? How big different from genetical point of view? A lot, yeah? They just cannot speak, they cannot think, like all these things. Our mind immediately pop up with some differences. But from genetical point of view, it's 98.8%. So imagine, yeah, like our mind cannot see, like have the similar organs, similar even like hairs and stuff like this. So from bodily point of view. And also interesting things, what's the difference between dog and human beings from genetical point of view? No, my mind says, oh no. For like just maybe 20%, like 15%, not more. But research shows that 98%, similar, the dog 98%. Amazing, yeah, we don't see it, it's just impossible to see, but really thinking about this deep, we all come from the same planet, yeah, just same rupa and 4 elements. And just for entertainment, like between the fish and you, what do you think? What's the difference? I thought about this like just maybe 0.05% similar things, but research shows that 60% similar between me and fish. So amazing, yeah, like some things we cannot even notice. So what I want to say here is that our mind tend to focus on differences, don't tend to focus on similarity. And it's okay if we remember about this. If we know, okay, this is a view, this is opinion, and fine. But we try to take again this opinion as a true, as a reality, as it is. And the last things about map is, maybe you all notice, like when you try to find your house on Google Map, and if somewhere near there is a new building start to make, yeah, you see on the map it's not there. So the map is almost always not up to date. It's almost always like later, or any like the good map of any country. After some time it would change, streets change or whatever. So the same way when we put our idea or belief about something, it's never up to date. It's always changed. It's a nature. But we tend to forget about this. Even we think about Dhamma, this is the Dhamma. This is the true Buddhist teaching. But is it so? I think it's just my understanding on that exact moment of the Buddha's teaching. And yes, like Buddha say, we need samadhi, we need right view, because human being tends to have some diṭṭhi. But in general, if you cling to any view as an eternal truth, as a reality, this causes you suffering. This cannot be way to liberation, because Buddha speak about yata bhuta jnana dassana, seeing things as it is without any delusion. And lastly, to this topic, I want to bring up the famous sutta, Kalama Sutta, or Kesamuttisutta. Actually, in the Tipitaka, it's named Kesamuttisutta, but it's well known by the name Kalama Sutta, because the place where the Buddha preached was Kalama. So, and the context is, it's very famous place for any ascetic and Brahmins. So many spiritual people come there and try to preach. And people just fed up with this. We say, we don't know. One comes, speak one, another comes, speak another. And they always like argue between each other. Who is right? We don't know. Oh, please, Buddha, explain to us. Like how to find the reality, how to find the truth. And the Buddha say like, it's applied to how not to form a view, how not to form opinion or belief. So he say, "Это тумхи калама ма анусавева." So it means don't follow or don't form your opinion by what you heard by someone. So like my teacher say like this, or Bhante say like this, or tradition say like this. So everything what you just heard, don't form your opinion just because of this. So the sutta doesn't say don't listen to anyone. The sutta says that like this is the input information what we need to do something. It's not ultimate information. Just by hearing this information, I'm going like, for example, I hear something from Bhante and go back to Russia and say, I'm realized everything. Now I know. So it will be foolish because just by hearing it will be not enough. Then next he say, ma parampara. Parampara, it's like tradition, what come from one to another. Like if I just heard it from the tradition, from lineage, it's also not enough, just hearing from this. Ma itti kiriyaya. So just by hearsay. For example, we have I think every culture have tales or fairy tales which contain some wisdom, like I think every tradition, like deep Chinese, maybe tales, what speak about some old emperor or something like this, and you can get some wisdom from there. But again, you cannot form your opinion just because of this, just because of some tales. Na pitaka sampadena. So pitaka sampadena is what handed down as the scriptures. So what we have here, this sutta say to us, just because of this sutta, don't form your opinion. So it's interesting. And ma takka hetu, na hetu. So logical reasoning, like if you follow just because, for example, scientists say something. Scientists, like, they come to some conclusion from some research. So just because of this, it's not enough to form our opinion and belief. Diṭṭhi nijhaya nikhaika. So just by accepting any view after reflecting on it. So I heard something from whatever, and then I'm hesitant a little bit, then I reflect on it deeply, and I say, okay, it makes sense. Now it makes sense. So this is also just not enough to have a ma bhabbarupataya. So just by appearance, someone may look good, like he look like a good monk. He wear his robe properly. He just like maybe don't wear shoes or whatever. So just by appearance, it's not enough to listen to this person. To listen to this person is fine. To form our opinion and beliefs only because my teacher look nice. My teacher look like a guru. And the last is samana no guru. So this is exactly for people who, just because he is my teacher, I believe him. Whatever he say, I just believe him. And it's covered everything, yeah? Like, I think we covered everything, how I personally make my opinion or belief. I don't know about you. So, and what to do, yeah? Like, luckily Buddha give us what to do, yeah? He just not remove everything. He give us what to do. He say, but when you, Kalamas, when you know by yourself, when you know by your personal experience that this Dhamma, this state or this teaching is kusala, skillful, like it's beneficial, anavaja, this something what can be blamed, so it's wholesome things, vinyupassata, and all the wise people praise it. We know by your experience it's a good state. Then he say you need to undertake it and follow it. And as example, he give a person who have anger. Is it a skillful state or is it unskillful state? And it's obvious it's unskillful state. So that's why they don't follow anger. Person by lust or by strong desire, is it a skillful state or unskillful state? From experience, we may see it's just unskillful state. It's unpleasant. So don't follow this. And with moha, with delusion as well. So this method require investigation and personal exploration. So it's not just like I learn something and I know. I learn something and then I apply it to practice and then I know if I'm lucky. To recap, I think it's good to see in our practice how our Diṭṭhi, how our belief, like cover our mind, and we start to think that it is true, it is right, it is ultimate true, and everything else is wrong. And we try to forget why we form this view, why we form this opinion, or like what is the purpose. We try to forget about this. We apply like whatever view we have on everything. And if you see it in your experience, it will help you to not cling too much to view, because like clinging to view, it's a problem. When we cling, we suffer. And also try to, whatever we heard, whatever we see, whatever we study, try to apply it to practice, and try to, after your personal experience, try to get a conclusion, what to follow. So wish you also be happy because of this.